I met my wife's father for the first time only the day before the wedding. Other than our mutual love for his daughter, we had almost nothing in common. He was a hard-assed former veteran who grew up in Los Cabos, and I was a 22-year-old English major from the burbs. He'd been shot twice taking down members of the cartel, and I was a backup vocalist in an a cappella cover band. We didn't exactly hit it off. I had wanted to meet him earlier and on different terms, but a certain beautiful accident accelerated my and Maria's relationship timeline, and it seemed like a good idea to have the wedding before she showed. From the moment I first saw him and tried to shake his hand, to the moment he and Maria's mother drove away, I didn't see a single crack in his steely reserve. The man was not the smiling type, and I consider myself lucky to have gotten through without him taking a swing at me. I was a scrawny little guy, pale from a life lived almost exclusively indoors during the daylight hours. He was from an era where the signs of a good provider were the calluses on your hands and the grit in your soul. At the rehearsal dinner, Maria insisted I try to connect with her father, my two favorite guys in the whole world. How could I say no? Hector and I sat outside the manor, the two-story plantation-style bed and breakfast we rented for the weekend for the service and reception. At night fell. Maria and her mom made excuses and left us alone. I tried for small talk, but nothing would get through to this guy until... "You feel like a drink?" Hector turned away from the vineyard where he'd been casting a dead stare for the last half hour and raised his eyebrows at me. The closest I've come so far to a smile, and I was grateful. He asked, "You got any tequila?" This made me hopeful. If there was one thing my liberal arts degree had taught me, it was how to drink. I found a bottle and a couple of double shot glasses and poured the first round. Hector gave me a disapproving look when I pulled out the limes and salt, so I put him away and pretended I had never brought him out. We took our drinks, and Hector loosened up, or maybe it was just me, becoming less aware of his unbearable scrutiny. He let a few things slip, not exactly secrets at first, more unspoken realities we had yet to acknowledge. "You know, I don't see how an English degree can provide for Maria." He poured the next shots. "This place is too fancy for me. Those fields look like they're just here for show." He poured the next shots. "It's not your fault you're the way you are, but this country is weak. It makes weak people, and I want more for Maria and our grandkids." He poured the next shots. This guy wasn't slowing down or showing any signs of needing a break. And before I knew it, it was 2 in the morning, and I was hammered worse than at my bachelor's party. "Kid, let me tell you something. I've been shot, stabbed, everything but killed, and I am better for all of it. But you ain't worked a day in your damn life." He pulled down his shirt to show an old faded scar on his collarbone. "I got this from a shithead in Los Cabos. He took a knife to me. When I got the upper hand, he begged for his life. I can still see that pathetic little worm begging. But I put that same knife into his gut and twisted it. That's what it means to be a man. I made the world a better place. But look at you. You can't even handle your booze like a man." I considered for a split second lecturing the old fossil on the effects of toxic masculinity, but instead, I threw up in the rose bushes. We didn't speak of it again. We didn't speak of anything again until after the wedding. Maria asked how it went, And I lied and said, "Good, I think we're bonding." I was a little hungover for the wedding, but other than that, the ceremony was beautiful. Half a year later, little Brianna came into this world, which meant that Maria's parents would once again be coming to visit. I surprised my wife by insisting this time around that Hector and I spend at least one night together, bonding time for the guys. I splurged her for the whole thing, surprising her with 2 weekend passes to a fancy spa/daycare for new mothers I found on Groupon. Say what you will about Los Angeles, but I love how capitalism caters to the specific. I dropped Maria, her mother, and Brianne off at the front doors of the spa and told them to have fun and relax. Maria told me not to let her dad get too far into my head. He knows how to hit you where it hurts. Remember that I love you both, and all I want is for the 2 of you to get along. Those were the words floating around in my head as I drove back to our house where Hector would wait for me. The final words of my adoring love, asking me to do whatever necessary to make peace with the man who raised her. Hector was waiting in our den with a bottle of tequila. He was sitting in the recliner, my seat, with an actual honest-to-goodness smirk on his face. "Ready for round 2? He asked, waving the bottle of bottom-shelf liquor at me. I laughed and said, "Actually, I thought we could start out the night off a little differently." "Don't be a pussy, let's take a shot first. Then we'll do whatever mamsy-pantsy kumbaya bullshit you got planned for this weekend. But I ain't talking about feelings. I ain't gonna hug it out or call you son." "Whoa, whoa, whoa," I said, holding out my hands for him to stop. "I think you got the wrong idea about why I asked to spend the weekend with you." "I don't care why you did it. Nothing you can say will make me change my mind. You're not good enough for my daughter, so why don't I go to the bar for the weekend and you can go to your room and draw or whatever it is you do?" I relaxed and let out a laugh. "Can I be real with you for a second?" He made no reaction, which I took to mean yes. "I'm not stupid. I know you don't like me, and that's okay. But for Maria's sake, I want us to at least be on speaking terms. This constant nagging is fine when she's not around, but when she's here, can you at least pretend you don't hate me?" He opened the bottle and poured a shot for himself, threw it back, and said, "I don't hate you more than I hate a stray dog pissing on my car. You aren't worth hating. You annoy me." Wow, Maria was right. He had a way with words. "I want to propose something," I said. "Let me show you what it is I do, and if you still don't think I can provide for Maria after that, we never need to speak again. Hell, I'll even open you a tab at any LA bar you want. Sound like a deal?" He shrugged. "I want you to see my studio." I walked towards the door leading downstairs into the basement. A second later, I heard him stand up and follow. Good, I thought. He's going to at least give it a shot. He followed me downstairs to a place where I rarely let other people see. This was my studio. Half completed canvases adorned the walls. Local companies commissioned some work, logos, and commercial work. It paid the bills. Some paintings were passion projects, images of dreams or scenes from my imagination. An 8x3 canvas was propped against one wall, a piece I've been working on for 2 years now, an otherworldly landscape dominated by mushrooms and trees in the moonlight, called Mysterium. I won't bore you with the details, but I will tell you this. Hector was not impressed. You're saying people actually pay you for this shit? Some of it. He looked all around, nodded, then said, "No, okay, I think I've seen enough. Let's find that bar, huh?" But I ignored him, walking over to Mysterium. The purple had dried too bold. I'd need to add another coat to make the other colors pop right. "Do you know who Lucas Cadiz was?" I turned to see that Hector was furrowing his brow. The question had taken him off guard. He recognized the name, and I knew he would. "Yeah, Cadiz was a drug runner for the cartel in the 80s, before you were born. A real asshole who went down in a firefight in Mexico. They filled him so full of lead, his corpse was more metal than meat. What do you know about him?" "Well," I said, "here's a fun fact. This home you're standing in right now used to belong to Lucas Cadiz." "What?" "Yeah, it wasn't a matter of public knowledge. I had to do my research to find out, but Cadiz made frequent stops here, used this place as a hideout. Really, it was more of his warehouse. He hid his drugs down here, in a secret room behind his false wall. That's why I picked this home to buy." "Alright man, you're freaking me out. Let's go upstairs already." "But you haven't seen my work of art yet." I pulled back the canvas and placed it gently against another wall. Even if the painting hadn't been there, I doubt anyone would have seen the switch on the wall if they weren't looking for it. It even took me almost a week to find Cadiz's secret room, hidden down here, not on the official floor plan. A secret space, one I could keep all to myself, one where I could do my work in privacy. I pressed the latch to open the door, then I took a step inside, confident that Hector would follow. I heard him gasp and felt a slight sense of accomplishment when he saw what was on the other side. Today's piece was a scumbag named Vincent Garcia, suspended by the shackles around his wrist, about 2 inches above the drain in the center of the concrete room. I could raise or lower the chains as much as I needed to, depending on my piece's height, and I always liked to keep them right about this far from the floor, close enough they could almost reach the ground if they stretched. His mouth was taped shut, and his eyes were wide open, and I knew there would be fear when he saw me again. But when he saw Hector, there was something else, an understanding, like all hope was lost. He was a special piece. Took me a long time to track him down, but I knew this needed to be perfect for Hector, and this was the only one that would do. Vincent was a lowlife, a monster. He had killed children of his enemies and made their parents watch. He had gone decades without getting caught, and 15 years ago, he shot a federally named Hector in the stomach and left him for dead. Vincent was the one that got away, and when Hector saw him, I could feel the energy in the room transform. After a few long, glorious, painfully powerful seconds, Hector found the words. "What the fuck is this?" "Do you like it?" I asked. "I made this all for you. You find a series of tools in the box at your feet. You can use anything you want, or I can give you something else." He looked at me in horror, or amazement, or something else entirely. "What are you?" "I'm a killer, Hector, and I'm an artist with a special talent. I can track down the worst of the worst, and when your Maria sleeps peacefully upstairs, I give the bad men of this world what they deserve. I prefer pieces like this one." I tapped Vincent on the head, prompting him to shake and fight, but he was far too weak to do much. The child murderers. Not a lot of people more deserving of what I do than this lot. But now and then, I get to mix it up. Like right after I bought this house, when some of Cadiz' men came around, looking for the smuggler's secret stash. It took 4 days for the last one to die. Sometimes I'll call the rapist, the mass murderers, the politicians. I gave him a wink. You're crazy, he stammered. Aw, come on now, Hector. You know this is the way the real world works. I didn't expect you of all people to turn out to be a big softie. I know you're probably thinking of pulling out the gun in your ankle holster and putting it in my ticker right now. And if that's what you want to do, I won't stop you. But I bet I could if I wanted. I may look soft, but that's the same thing every one of these men thought before I choked them out and brought them down here. I may not be the strongest guy ever, but I'm faster than I look. Hector pulled the piece, just like I was afraid he might, but he didn't point it at me right away. He hesitated, aiming the gun at the ground. You kill people? He said, panting. Only bad people, and trust me, your girl has never been safer than she is with me. I consider keeping this all a secret, never telling a soul, but she wants so desperately for you and me to get along. I'll admit it, I consider arranging for you to have an accident that left you at the bottom of a cliff with no arms or legs. I took a step forward. He took one back. I thought you said you only kill bad people. Are you saying you don't think you're a bad person? I asked with a smile. He pointed the gun at me, and I snatched it away. He went pale, and I said, Sorry, natural reaction, here. Then I extended the weapon by the barrel, offering it back to him. I could see the gears turning. Then, finally, he did what I wanted him to do. He knelt down to the box of tools and picked up a saw blade. An excellent choice. I put the gun onto the ground and started for the door. Once this thing is closed, you can be as loud as you want. Nobody can hear anything through these walls. Wait a second, he said, prompting me to stop. Aren't you gonna stay and help? I looked at him, and he extended a long, sharp knife. As I reached to take it, Hector gave me the biggest smile. Now we're getting somewhere, I thought, as we began our first real night of father and son bonding. I couldn't help but suspect it wouldn't be the last. Hello guys, if you liked this story, and I hope you did, then please do share it. I would love to have more lost souls come wandering my way.